So it's crazy how we come into this world and we have no clue as to who we are or why we're here. We're just existing. But somewhere deep down, even as kids, something in our spirit recognizes when something just isn't right. We may not have the words for it at that time, but that energy, that feeling is always there and it's always communicating with us. I didn't understand that back then, but now looking back, I've and as I gotten older, I've started to realize that every confusing moment, every painful lesson was preparing me for this understanding, this truth of who I really am and what I'm here to do. One of my earliest memories as a child was when my mom first came home from the hospital with my baby sister. And I remember being so excited, y'all. This is my first little sibling, and I wanted a sibling so bad. But I was so excited, and I kept persisting that she let me hold her. And of course, my mom, she's reluctant because at the time I was only like 4.5 years old. I was small myself, but I just kept asking, can I please hold her? Can I please hold her? Can I please? And she finally gave in. And she was like, okay, but you're going to have to sit down and you're going to have to sit all the way back. Right. So I found the nearest seat, and it was this old wooden rocking chair. It was in the living room. And I'm only 4. I'm small. So I climb up this damn rocking chair. Y'all, I had to tussle to get in the chair because I'm already small. And I'm still small now. I'm only 4'11". But I finally get in the chair and I scoot all the way back. And the chair is just a rocking because I've been tussling with it, trying to sit in it. And my mom had to stop the chair. So she stopped the chair from rocking. And she finally put my baby sister in my arms. And y'all, just our first glance at her, I was so in love. This cute little face. I was like, oh. And she still had that newborn baby scent too. Just within that instant, I had already planned out everything we was going to do. All the little games we going to play. How we going to dress up. And how I'm going to help feed her. And I planned all this in a matter of seconds in my mind. I just instantly went into this protector mode. Like I knew I loved her, right? The next thing I know, the chair broke underneath me and I hit the floor. And before I knew it, my mom had snatched my sister out of my hands. I never let her go. I was still holding her tight. She never touched the ground. But she snatched her out of my arms and she looked at me and she yelled, "I know you didn't just drop my damn baby." And in that moment, I remember just being so confused, like, and I don't even think my baby sister cried. I don't think she cried at all. But I remember I wanted to, but I held it in because I just couldn't understand why was she mad at me when I didn't even do anything wrong. But it's wild because looking back now, that moment right there shaped the rest of my life. That was the first time I learned to silence my pain, to protect someone else's feelings. And the first time I carried the blame for something that I did not do or something that was not my fault. And that was the beginning of my empath journey and my connection to a narcissist. What's good, divine family, and welcome back to the Goddess Journey. I am Lala Monroe, and as y'all can see, today's episode is a bit personal, okay, because I am sharing my story on what it's like being an empath in a world full of narcissists. So I didn't always know the terms at that time, but I could very much so pick up on the fact that the relationship and the dynamic between my mother and I, it was not always pleasant, and it was off. Okay, so I can't honestly say now that I've always been an empath, now that I know what an empath is, because I've always been a sensitive child. And I'm not saying sensitive so much in the sense that I was emotional all the time, although I did get emotional like normal people do, but I was more so sensitive in a way to where I could pick up on certain things. Like, I can feel when the energy change in the room, when the energy shifts in the room, or I can sense when a person just had ill will or ill intentions, and they didn't even necessarily have to do or say anything, but if I got close enough to where I can, I would feel certain things. So I just remember growing up and just feeling like I was walking on eggshells a lot of the time, because by the time my sister came back around, y'all, I'm gonna just use this as an example to tell y'all, whenever we went to the grocery store or out in the public, my sister would give my mother the hardest time. Like, she was one of those kids that would just scream to the top of their lungs the entire time that we are in the store. And I just remember being so embarrassed by it, but I could already sense that my mom was under a lot of stress. So I was more so of the easygoing type kid, right? I didn't want to make things more difficult. If she asked us what we would like to eat, I'll just be like, oh, it's whatever you want to get, I'm okay with it. I wasn't really the picky type, so I didn't give much pushback because I can already feel how tense the situation was. And it's crazy as a kid because you don't know what that is, but you just know you don't want to make things worse than what they already are. So I just felt like I was walking on eggshells a lot of the time. My sister, on the other hand, she was the complete opposite. It was what she wanted when she wanted. Didn't care if she didn't get her way, she threw a temper tantrum. I'm the opposite. But I just remember my mom treating her like she was the golden child, and I was treated like freaking Cinderella before the ball. So although I was the oldest, but I just noticed that dynamic at a very young age. And another example is when, let's say, I'm gonna say before my teenage years, there was a period of time where, there was a little tension between my sister and I. Now, I've always loved my sister. I don't have anything against her, even to this day. But she would try to compare the two of us. Like, she'll pin us against each other, or try to, in a way. But it kind of made my sister resent me when there was no reason to be resentful towards me. I never gave her any hard times. I never felt any kind of ways about her, but she would constantly compare us against each other. Or I remember the body shaming. My mom would always try to body shame. I remember being like 12, 13, 14 years old. She'll tell me to pull my shirt down because my ass looked flat. Like, who the hell gives a damn if my ass is flat? I'm a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, but constantly getting body shamed, or her wanting me to look a certain way or be a certain way when I just would rather be myself. So I gave pushback on things like that. I was the rebel when it came to things like that, because it's like she tried to force me to be something that I don't want to be. You get what I'm saying? And my sister was more so like her little wingman, her wing person. Whenever she wanted to make me the pin of a joke, I was always the target, and they would laugh together. You get what I'm saying? Like, crazy stuff like that. But although I was not the problem child, and not saying that my sister was a problem child, but I honestly was not a bad kid, but she just made things more difficult for me for some reason. Now, I even remember me and my mother arguing all the time growing up as a kid. Like, she would always pick little arguments over, like, I wouldn't even say argue, but she loves to debate or whatever. But this was probably like
before the age of 10. I don't remember what the argument was about, what the tension was about, but I remember saying to her, it's like, if you didn't want me as a child, why did you have me? Because honestly, y'all, my mom towards me, she never came off as motherly. You get what I'm saying? It's like she more so did what she had to do as a mother because that's what she was expected to do. I felt like I was raised off of obligation, not off of love. She did the things she did for me so that she would look good as a parent and she wouldn't be looked at as a bad parent. You get what I'm saying? Because on the outside looking in, people thought this woman was the sweetest thing. Oh, you know, your mother is an angel. Now, she's so nice, but behind closed doors, I get something totally different. I don't get that loving, caring, nurturing mother. I didn't hear I love you all the time. I didn't get hugs and stuff like that. It's like if I did something or I performed in a way that made her look good, then I got praise for it. But just me just doing something that I want to do and accomplishing certain things on my own, it was nothing that she was excited about. And I'm about to venture off into later life stuff out of the childhood, but I'm trying to keep it in chronological order so I don't confuse myself and be going back and forth. But for the most part, I am a very healthy person. I've never had any real health issues, but I did have one health crisis early on at the age of 14. Didn't know what it was at the time, but I was in excruciating pain, y'all. And this pain got so bad to the point where I could not eat. It's like every time I ate something or drink something, the pain got worse. And this went on for several weeks. And I remember being in so much pain one night. This was at 14 years old, about 14 or 15. And I was begging for her to take me to the hospital. Like, please take me to the hospital. Like, if you're not gonna take me to the hospital, just give me a shovel so I can dig my grave up right now in the backyard. Like, I was in real pain, like serious pain. And her excuse for not wanting to take me was because she didn't have money to pay for a medical bill. And I mean, I was sick, y'all. Like, it was so bad. I started to vomit bile. I couldn't keep anything down because every time I ate, I vomited back up. And it got to the point I started to vomit up bile. I had jaundice all over my body. The whites of my eyes were jaundice. And I even still get that jaundice to this day from time to time. But she did not want to take me to the hospital. And I mean, I was in pain. It literally felt like somebody was taking my organs and just doing them like this here. Just squeezing them. Didn't know what was wrong at the time. But it wasn't until one of my aunts, my oldest aunt on my mom's side, she came into town. And I believe we went to the mall or something. We were going to the mall, I believe. And my mom was driving. My aunt was in the passenger front seat. And I sat in the seat behind her. We get to the mall. I get out the car. My aunt gets out the car. She turns around and she looked at me. She took one good look at me. And she was like, oh my God. Like, girl, you look sick. Like, you damn near half dead. She was like, you need to take her to the hospital. And she literally had to force my mother to take me to the hospital. Like, she had to like take her to the hospital like now, ASAP. So we left the mall. We get to the hospital. I had been dealing with this for weeks, y'all. And I guess at the time I was too young for them to do any type of surgery or anything. They basically found out I had gallstones. I had gallstones really bad, but I was too young for them to operate on me at the hospital in my hometown. So they transported me to LSU Hospital in Shreveport. And there, I believe they did an ERCP. But by the time they did that, they claimed I had already passed the stones and all of that. But they ran blood work. around the clock. They even put me under the little UV light because I was so jaundiced, y'all. Told me gallstones had passed. Everything else looks good. Nothing back with the blood work. No hepatitis or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, if all of that is good, then what's causing this jaundice? And the doctor was just like, oh, that's just gonna be there. You're gonna just drink a lot of water. You're gonna always have to deal with that. Now my mother didn't ask. I had to ask because she honestly didn't seem concerned at all. But I sat in the hospital for like 2 weeks. If it wasn't 2 weeks, it was at least a week. I sat in there a few days. But I had been dealing with that issue for several weeks. And just now looking back on it, now that I'm much older, it's like nobody really gave a fuck. Which is crazy to me. I mean, to do something like that to your own child, that there alone is neglect. That's neglect. No teachers, no friends were asking me, hey, what's wrong? Because I know I looked horrible. I had started to lose weight because I couldn't eat. Every time I ate something, the pain got worse. So I was getting to the point where I wasn't even eating. And when I drank water, I would throw the damn water up. I was throwing up bile. And I dealt with that for several weeks. But finally got over that. And of course, guess what? As soon as I got out of the hospital, guess what covered the medical bill? Medicaid. Yeah, I would never forget having to deal with that because that was just a pain that I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. I would not wish that on my worst enemy at all. I literally felt like I was hanging on by a thread. And I tell my aunt all the time, and I told her then, and I tell her still to this day, like, you literally saved my life. Because I honestly don't think if she didn't lay eyes on me, she was not going to take me to the hospital. She was not. And I felt like I was going to die because I was slowly deteriorating. Like, because I wasn't eating. Every time I ate, it just caused more pain. So I was barely eating. But it was bad. After it got to a certain point, I just felt like I really felt like I was going to die. And that wouldn't have been the first time that I would have almost died on her watch. Because according to my own mother, and she told me this in my childhood as well, when I was a baby, maybe a few months old, I had stopped breathing at one point. And I stopped breathing to the point where my lips started to turn blue. So she had to rush me to the hospital. Now, when I asked her what caused me to stop breathing, she says, and I don't know how true this is because I was too young to remember, but according to her, the doctor said it was due to dehydration. Now, knowing what I know and having worked in the medical field for over 11 years now myself, that don't really make sense. I mean, it do, but at the same time, it don't really make sense. Like, what baby gets dehydrated, so dehydrated to the point where they stop breathing? Like, you actually stop breathing? Now, I'm a mother myself, and I have 2 boys. They've never had any type of near-death experiences with nothing with breathe. Anytime my kids show the slightest sign of an illness or anything, we're at the doctor. I'm getting them checked out. They mention any type of pain, I'm looking into it. It's like there had to been such a disconnect there that I can't even fathom it because I just can't as a mother. But there has to be a serious disconnect with her. Well, she just did not care. Honestly, I think she did not care. I don't even know if I believe that story. I feel like she was just very neglectful. That's my honest opinion. I feel like she was just a very neglectful parent. And she doesn't want to be looked at that way. But let's make it make sense. Your own child should not be neglected medical care with something that serious. Like, that was very serious. The gallstone issue for me, that was very serious. That was some painful shit. But like I said, that wouldn't have been the first time I would have had a near-death experience on her watch, and it makes sense now. It didn't make sense to me then, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me now, because even the way she treat me during my childhood, I mean, of course, people may say, oh, well, maybe she was under a lot of stress, or maybe she was dealing with postpartum, my ass. That had nothing to do with stress or postpartum, because she treated me like shit well on into my adulthood. So let's just be clear. You know, things didn't really start to click for me for real until one of my best friends at the time had to point it out to me. She was like, your mama jealous of you. And I'm like, what? How do you get that? She was like, your mama jealous of you. And I'm like, I know there's something not right, but jealousy, I didn't quite pinpoint that, because it's like, what is there for her to be jealous of? I look just like her. I don't act like her, but we look just alike. What is there for her to be jealous of? And she was just like, your mama don't like you, bro. Just flat out. Your mama don't like you. And I was like, that you may be on to something. That I definitely do know. But why, I don't know. But I just knew the first chance I got, I had to get the fuck away from her. I had to get away from her. And this was during my senior year in high school. She was already married by that time, and her husband wanted to move her to Texas. So with me about to graduate, I was like, no, I'm not about to leave and mess up my grades, and I want to stay here and graduate with my class. I'm not going. So I stayed back in our hometown. I stayed with my grandparents, and my sister moved to Texas with them. And it's so crazy how dealing with that one narcissist, especially if it's a parent, it opens up the floodgates to welcome more and more narcissists into your life. Because I started dating my first son's father, and of course, soon as I got pregnant, that turned volatile, and I had to move away from him. So who do you run to when you're pregnant? You're vulnerable, and like, who else would you go to? I went to what I knew, my mother. And of course, she welcomed me with open arms, but little did I know the psychological abuse was about to start all over again. I don't know what the connection is between being an empath and dealing with survival mode. Maybe one of y'all can explain the shit to me, because I honestly can really say a majority of my adult life, I have been in survival mode. So even when there were times where I had to move back in with my mom because I couldn't find a job or whatever the case was, no matter if I had a job or not, if I was going to stay with her, she wanted me to help her pay half of her bills. We were dealing with a recession. I was having the hardest time finding a job. Even while I was pregnant, new to Texas. I don't know anything about Texas. I don't have any job lined up before I came. I literally just had to leave, right? She wants me to help pay some of her bills. And this is in adulthood. Like I said, I'm an adult now, but my sister, on the other hand, who's also an adult, could be living with her and not paying her a dime. She don't demand her to pay anything. But when it came to me, she expected me to help her pay her bills. It was never her genuinely helping me because she genuinely wanted to help. It was only her helping me because she wanted to get something out of the situation as well, which was half of her damn bills paid. So I remember a time when, this was after I had my first son, I was having a hard time finding a job. So I started doing promotions at a club on the weekends just to have some type of money coming in. But shortly after that, I put myself in school for medical assistant. I wanted to go to a 4-year college before she left, but this woman did not want to send me her tax information so that I can fill out, my forms for my FAFSA and all that. Just wanted to derail every fucking thing that I was trying to do. So anyways, I didn't go to a 4-year college, but I did put myself in school to be a medical assistant. And it was a technical school, and at that time it was only like a 10-month program, and that was including your externship. And the extern is basically where you just work to get a certain amount of hours of experience, and then you graduate out. You don't get paid to do this work, but you go to an actual job every day, like a real job, just to get the experience, and you graduate out. So I signed up to go to school for medical assisting, y'all. And at this time, I want to say my son was probably like 3. He was 3 years old. And I just remember being excited about it, because I'm like, this could be a turning point, because it's only going to take a matter of months, and they're going to help me find a job soon after graduation. If I don't get the job that I, land for my externship. So I come back home, and I'm excited to tell my mom this news. But before I could tell her, my sister had announced to her that she had signed up to go to a community college. And she was only taking her general studies at this time. I didn't know. This was news to me as well. My mom got super excited. I mean, jumping up for joy excited. And I was happy for her too. Don't get me wrong. I was happy for her. Because during that time, if you went to a regular community college or 4-year college, they were handing out those checks, right? So every semester she was going to get a check. I think that's more so what she was excited about. But when I announced that, well, I just signed up to go to school for medical assistant, and I start in October, y'all, the exact words out my mama's mouth was, well, I don't know how the hell you gonna do that, because I ain't babysitting no kid. And I was just like, well, first of all, who said I needed you to babysit? Because I never asked you that. And 2, I'm going to school at night so that you don't have to babysit. But it was just like, there was no excitement there at all. It was just like, I don't know how you're going to do that. The whole room just got quiet, right? Nobody is in support of me trying to do something to better myself and make a better way for me and my child. No, she didn't give a damn, right? Crazy as hell. But long story short, I ended up having to send my son back home to Louisiana because my dad, his dad, and my grandparents were still in my hometown. So I ended up having to send him back home so they can keep him for a few months until I can, kind of get through school and get situated. I didn't know how long this was going to take. And when I tell you, that was the scariest thing for me to do, because that was the first time I had to be that far away from my child for an extended period of time. And I did not feel comfortable doing that. Although he was with family, but it does something to you as a mother, right? But anyways, signed up for school, y'all. The first day of school, I got to my orientation, but the first day I actually started school, I come outside, I got my scrubs on, I got my little rolling backpack. I walk around that damn corner and my freaking car was gone. Car got repoed. Right? Now, luckily, the guy I was dating at the time, he helped me out tremendously. But y'all, before I even had to mention anything to him about it, my mom was like, well, I don't know how you gonna get to school. You better catch the bus. I'm like, how am I gonna catch the bus? We living in Irving, right? My school is in Dallas. I don't know shit about catching no bus from Irving to Dallas. I don't even know anything about Dallas during this time, right? She just was not having it. Didn't want me to use her car. The same car that the aunt I told y'all about earlier gave to her. She didn't want me to use her car to get to school. None of that. So the guy I was dating at the time, he offered to take me to school and pick me up every day. He's like, just don't worry about it. And he did that every day until I was able to get a car. Y'all, I was not able to get a vehicle until tax season. I started school in October. I didn't get taxes until like February, March, that next year, the following year. Anywho, I got through school. I eventually ended up switching my schedule. So after I sent my son back home, I switched my schedule to daytime, and eventually I ended up picking up a part-time job to work after school. And I graduated. I actually got hired from my externship. The doctor that I did my externship through. I got hired straight on with her. So I'm working as a medical assistant in less than a year, y'all. Now I'm making more money than I ever made. I'm doing better than I ever done. Was actually able to buy a second car. And guess who needed to borrow my car when her shit broke down? Of course, Mother Mirage. Of course, Mother Mirage. And of course, I'm going to help her because it's my mother, you know. That's how I was back then. No matter how badly I was treated, I still was the one that would come through for her and help her when she needed it. But let it be the same with me. It's not going to be the same energy. It never was. Never was and never will be. Now, I'm going to fast forward to a time where my mother had to come to me to live with me for a while. And honestly, I don't even remember what her situation was or how she ended up. Well, no, I'm lying. I do now because, yeah. But anyways, she had to come live with me. And at this time, this is shortly after I had my second child. So now I have 2 kids. And I was only living in a 1-bedroom at the time. But I wasn't planning to stay there. But all I wanted her to do to help me out slightly was to keep the kids on the weekend so I can make a little extra money. Because the situation was, okay, I was working as a medical assistant, true enough. So I had income. I was working. But early in the year, I had just had a baby. I had Omari in March. So, you know, I used all my benefits. When I took my maternity leave, I used all of my short-term and my long-term disability. I literally got a check in the mail from my job that said $0 and 0 cents right before he turned 6 weeks old. So I had to go right back into work when he turned 6 weeks old. Went back to work. Then I ended up having to take off from work again to have gallbladder surgery. Now I'm in my damn 30s and I'm just now getting my gallbladder out. That happened late in the year. That was like in November, right? So by the time my mom comes to me and she's saying that she needs a place to stay, I'm somewhat in a bind because there's been periods where I haven't had any money. I've been playing catch up. I'm the only person paying everything. I'm a single mother, right? So I started having to do like Uber, DoorDash or whatever on the side just to keep a little extra money flowing in. This woman told me that she did not want to keep my kids on the weekend because she feels like she still has a life and she want to be able to go out on dates. And that's exactly what she told me, verbatim. I cannot make this shit up. And I'm like, you barely have a roof over your head and you worried about going out on dates? But I digress. You the mother, I'm the child, right? But you living with me and you don't want to keep your kids just to help, just so I can make a little extra money to keep the lights on. But anyways, y'all, I ended up having to do DoorDash and take my kids with me sometimes just so I can be able to make extra money. Like I said, it's never her helping me or her helping you genuinely unless she's getting something out of it. That's always been how she is towards me. But I'm going to fast forward a little more because this was shortly after my spiritual awakening. So I started doing my tarot readings and all of that at this point, and I had got certified as a life coach while I was working as a medical assistant. And I remember speaking on the phone with my grandmother, which is my mom's mom, and she was just expressing to me how she just really, you know, misses her great grandkids, and she don't want to, miss out on them growing up and all of that. And honestly, at the time, I was like, well, you don't have to. I don't have to be here to work. I can work from anywhere at that point, because honestly, I was making more money doing all of the things I was doing outside of my job. I was making more money doing that than I was on my actual job by that time. So I told her I can move to Houston, although I freaking hate Houston. I said I would never live in Houston, but for my grandmother, I was willing to do that. So I slowly started planning to do this move. So we ended up moving to Houston. The aunt that my grandmother was living with at the time, we just gonna call her Benda. I'm not gonna give you her real name, but we're gonna call her Benda. She offered for me and my kids to live with her for as long as I needed to until I found the place. But she told me herself that your mama got 3 months and then she got to find somewhere to go. I'm like, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me, but no, thank you, because honestly, I would much rather have my own place and get situated in my own spot, because I already had my oldest son situated for a school, and the school that he was going to be attending was 45 minutes away from her house. So my plan was never to stay with her the entire time. But the mistake I made, though, was the apartments that I applied for when I moved to Houston, I didn't realize that they were income restricted. So I got denied. And I didn't really take a whole lot of time to look at apartments before coming, because my aunt offered for me to stay there and, look while I was there and take my time. But I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to do things in a rush, and it overshadowed a lot of stuff. So lo and behold, though, I had already had a trip planned with some friends, right, to go to Vegas. Now, we had planned this trip months in advance, and I really honestly, at the time when I planned that trip, I did not know that I would be living in Houston. But anyways, we had a 6-day trip planned in Houston. I had already paid for it, and at the time, this is during the summer, so my oldest son, he left to go with his dad for the summer. I still had my youngest son. He was probably only like 1 or 2. He's probably like 1 at the time, I believe, because he wasn't even talking yet. So I just realized, though, like, once we got there, the whole vibe was just kind of weird. It just turned weird. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, because it didn't make sense, because this is family that we were always super close with. Like, anytime we got together and we did anything together, we always had a good time. Like, there really wasn't any tension or anything like that. Like, we were family, right? But I don't know what the dynamic was or where the shift came in at, but I noticed how my cousin, which was my aunt's daughter, we're gonna call her Creepsy, her whole little attitude just switched up a little bit, right? And the day of, I'm just gonna fast forward, because y'all gonna be able to read all about this in my book. I told y'all I'm writing a book, so you'll be able to read up on it on your own. But the day of my trip to Vegas, I remember getting up that morning, me and my youngest son, and I put up our air mattress, and I go to the bathroom to run us some bath water. Now, during this time, I'm on the phone with one of my close friends, and I have my earbuds in, right? Now, I'm on the phone with her. I'm in the bathroom. I'm running my bath water. I'm brushing my teeth. I hadn't even been in the bathroom at least a good 2 minutes, and I hear my child scream in a way like someone was trying to torture him or something. I just freaked out. I threw my brand new phone. I threw it down, and I ran to the other side of the house to see what was going on. Y'all, it's Creepsy has my child stripped naked. She's wiping him down with a towel. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Because I'm already running him a bath water. I don't need you to do that. right? Shit was weird. She was like, okay. So I get him, dry him off, get him back clothes, put his clothes back on or whatever. And her and my grandmother, they left. So I had to send her a text because I'm like, that shit just don't sit well with me. I'm like, look, I understand you don't have kids, and because at that time she didn't have any kids, but I don't need you to do things like that for Omari. Like, I'm very attentive of him. I know you may not understand it at this time, but you maybe one day you will get it later. But let me handle it, those type of things, right? And she was just like, okay. Her response was okay. So me knowing my cousin and how she is, she's very, anyways, I'm gonna just leave it alone. But anyways, I screenshot the text, right, and I sent it to her mom, which is my aunt Benda. And I said, I'm just sending this to you because you know your child likes to over exaggerate things, so I'm just letting you know, I'm just showing this to you so you'll know what was said. And her response was okay, right? So I'm not thinking anything of it. But at the same time, I'm just like, now I'm not comfortable going on my trip because I don't know what the hell is going to be going on while I'm not here and my child is here. So I reach out to my other aunt who also lives in Houston. We just going to call her Twasha. And I asked her, would she be okay with keeping Omari while I was going on this trip? And I offered to pay her. I think I paid her like $250 or something like that for the whole week. And she agreed, and I felt more comfortable with him being there because she has younger little boys that he can play with. You know, she has kids. So I was okay with him being there. Oldest son, I didn't have to worry about him because he was already with his dad for the summer. So I go on this trip, y'all. We go to Vegas, and I have a good time. The part I forgot to mention to y'all too, though, is that the aunt that I was living with, I was paying her rent. She gave me an amount that she was comfortable with me paying, or you know, and I agreed to it. So I paid her rent, right? I was paying her rent every month. That was the plan, and that's what I was gonna do. So I go on my trip. I have a good time. A few days into the trip, I get a text from my aunt. She was like, hey, I know you probably having a good time, but just remember the amount we agreed upon for the rent. And I was like, okay, because it was coming up on another month, right? So I responded to her. Never got another response back. Finished out the rest of my trip. Y'all, I think I got back, I want to say, it's kind of like I was gone 7 days because I didn't get back until like after midnight once I got off my flight. So my mom picks me up from the airport. I get home, and like I said, it's after midnight now. By the time I get home to my aunt's house, all of my personal items, everything I had was all moved to the front room now. Like, you know how you'll take your clothes, you put your clothes where your clothes go, you put your bathroom stuff in the bathroom, like everything that I had sorted and put up, they moved it and put it in the front room, the front living room of the house. All of our stuff. Now, before I left, I had some things in my cousin's room, in Creepsy's room. Now, when I go to Creepsy's room, thinking I'm finna go get some of my things, there's a lock on the door now. There wasn't a lock on the door before. So I'm like, what the hell? What is going on? And why ain't nobody ever mentioned to me that all this is going on? But when I tell y'all, even though it was after midnight, everybody was asleep, the energy in that house was so fucking thick. It was thick and it was off. Okay, it got so bad to the point I had to ask Mother Mirage, because Mother Mirage has lived with them before. I've never lived with them, so I didn't know. But I'm like, what happened over the few days I was gone? Because it's like, are they always like this? And she was like, mm-hmm. But I say it was weird because crazy little shit, like I would cook or somebody would cook and they won't eat. And we always cook and eat together, y'all, as a family. Or they'll leave and go to work. Won't say good morning to you. You'll speak. They don't speak back. They come home from work. You say hey. They don't speak back. And it's like, damn, this is your damn house, and you acting like that. Like, it was just weird shit. And even with Creepsy, we could be watching TV in the living room. Everybody be sitting in the living room watching TV. She'll come flick the lights off, cut all the lights off. Talking about the last light bill was X amount of dollars. It's like, girl, we ain't even been here that long to even be pulling up on that bill cycle. So what are you talking about? But she'll complain about the lights being on too much, or we'll use the bathroom. She'll come up behind us and spray bleach on the toilet seat and flipping the trash can upside down. Like, the shit was fucking weird. It's like the type of shit I wouldn't do to somebody that I invited to come live with me. You get what I'm saying? It's just weird. And they would be texting each other. Creepsy and Benda would be texting each other, as opposed to just having open dialogue like everybody else. They'll text each other back and forth. And I only know this because Creepsy had a particular ringtone for her mama when she texts or call. It was something like mom's calling, some shit like that, right? So I know they're texting back and forth. While everybody's in the house, y'all texting back and forth. Now maybe that's what y'all do, but prior to that, they weren't doing it. It was just regular open dialogue, right? Shit got weird. So the day came where she came to a head, basically. So y'all, my mom comes back in from doing DoorDash or Uber or whatever she was doing, right? And at this point, everybody's home except for Benda. So it's me, my two kids, because my oldest had made it back from his summer break with his dad, my mom, Mother Mirage, and Creepsy. Everybody's there except for Benda, which is my aunt. So she comes back in, and Creepsy starts complaining about something about the food. I couldn't hear exactly what all she was saying because I was coming out of the bathroom. But I walk up to the kitchen, and she's talking to my mom. Like, at this point, she talking sideways, like kind of disrespectful to my mom about something about some food. And I'm like, Creepsy, what are you talking about? She's like, your mama always want to eat up all the food, but she don't want to pitch in and help and buy no food or nothing. But I'm like, Creepsy, I just bought like $300 worth of food. What food are you talking about that she's eating? Because I'm pretty sure it can be replaced or it's already been replaced. But she just griping still. And now she's going back and forth with my mom, but she's getting disrespectful, like real disrespectful, in a way that I don't even talk to my mom. As bad as she treat me, I don't even talk to my mom like that. So I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute, because what is the problem? First of all, this ain't your crib. This your mama crib. And if there was an issue, I'm pretty sure your mama would have said something to us by now. So what is the real issue? Because what's really going on? Because you've been acting real strange lately anyways, right? Now, before I move forward, let me tell y'all that these people, yes, those people are bona fide Christians, okay? Now, prior to me coming to Houston, I told y'all in earlier that I had already started doing my tarot business. I was already working on certain things, right? Now, I started my tarot channel and I didn't tell anybody on YouTube. I started that channel. I never shared it on Facebook. I never talked about it to anybody. That page literally took off on its own. It gained traction on its own. Benda and Creepsy both followed my YouTube channel before I moved to Houston. Keynotes, okay? They both followed. Nobody ever asked me about it. The only other person who really asked me about my tarot readings was Twasha, the other aunt. I've done a reading for her at Benda's house prior to this incident, okay? And I honestly think that reading was prior to me actually moving there. It was prior to me even moving there. So, but anyways, I'm just bringing it up to let y'all know that the Christians are fully aware of what it is that I do. Okay? Even though I don't talk to them about it, they don't question me about it. They are fully aware of what it is that I do. And as a matter of fact, Benda actually watched me set up my LLC at her house on my laptop prior to this incident. So back to the incident. I'm asking Creepsy, like, so what is the real issue? Because you just been real strange lately. You feel like you acting like you got something you want to get off your chest. So what is it? Y'all, Creepsy goes on to explain to me how she feels like I'm lazy, I'm a devil worshiper, I got 2 baby daddies. I mean, just going off, talking out the side of her neck, basically. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, bitch, because your mama got 2 baby daddies as well. So what the fuck? Okay, but anyway, before I knew it, we was in a whole fist fight. My grandma, my mama, everybody trying to break this shit up. I just had to get off in that ass. I'm sorry. You don't get to disrespect my mama and disrespect me in the same breath and to my face and about some shit that you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, let's be for real. Because up until this point, bitch, you've been trying to be me. Everything you're trying to do, I'm already doing. This girl literally went and got the same car I had. Only her car was like a few year models older than mine. You driving the same car. You want to be a life coach like I am. I even offered to help her get certified as a life coach. I offered to pay for it. You want to be a life coach. You're out here trying to make extra money. I put you on to the DoorDash and all that. So you want to be me. Like, you want to do everything that I do, but you can't. So really, in all honesty, you infatuated with me, bitch. You infatuated so much with me to the point where now you call yourself hating me. Or you got an issue. And I honestly felt like I owe her the ass whipping because of the incident she pulled the day I left for my vacation. Because I don't know what the fuck that was, but in my spirit, it didn't feel right. Did not feel right. So I honestly owed you an ass whipping for that, because that was a no-go right there alone. But you had the audacity to come up to me and open your mouth about some shit, did you? Anyways, I just flat out told her, you need to learn how to mind a business that pays you. Now you need to call and text your mama and tell her I whipped your ass. You call and tell her everything else. But shortly after that, she left. Right? She leaves. Later on that day, her mom comes home from work. As soon as she gets home, she's in an uproar. Now she's upset with me because she feels like I started the fight. Y'all, this lady dug in her pocket and gave me back my rent money that I gave her. So she already had it on her mind. Didn't ask me anything. And she was like, and you in here putting your hands on people and accusing people of molesting your child? Who the fuck said that? Who said that? That never came out of my mouth. I never said that because I don't have proof of any of that. But okay, but that alone lets me know there's been chatter, right? But anyway, she tells me that I need to get all my shit and get up out of her house. And I'm like, cool, no problem. And then my mom tries to butt in and she was like, well, actually, Benda, Creepsy started all of this. Do y'all know Benda looked at Mama Mirage and was like, if you don't like it, you can pack your shit and you can go too. Mama Mirage ain't say nothing else. Got quiet as a mouse. So I pack all my shit up. I'm getting all my stuff. I have no problem leaving your house, trust and believe. But she goes in her bathroom and she's getting things of mine and just throwing it in bags. I can hear her throwing it in the bags or whatever. So I call my homegirl, one of my close friends, and I'm like, look, bitch, you better hope and pray I don't go to jail. If I do go to jail, I'm gonna need you to get my kids, because she about to get real ugly. But anyway, I end up getting off the phone with her for a split second, and I called for an escort. I called for the police department to get an escort out of there, because I honestly felt like I was gonna end up going upside her head as well. And I didn't want to disrespect her like that because that was my aunt. And I actually had mad love for her at one point, but at that very moment, wasn't no love there. You get what I'm saying? So I literally just called to say, hey, y'all need to send somebody out here. I need an escort. I'm packing up my stuff. And just to prevent there being any type of altercation, I need an officer here. Right? Got off the phone with them, called the best friend back. So she's on the phone the whole time. I'm packing all my stuff up. Police get there probably like, I don't know. It took them a while to get there, y'all, honestly. It took them a long time, but probably like 30 minutes or so. But Creepsy never came back. Creepsy never came back because she called and told her mama I whooped her ass like I told her to. So she knew not to come back. She never came back. I packed my stuff and me and my kids, we left. I dropped some things off at my storage. My mom came and helped me put some things in storage. But after that, we went and got a hotel room. Mother Mirage stayed behind. Right? Now, it just so happened that I had already made plans to meet up with my sister in Dallas for that weekend. Now, by the time this all wrapped up, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. But I had already made plans with my sister back in Dallas to meet up with her for the weekend. We were going to go to Six Flags for her stepdaughter's birthday party, right? So we stayed in the hotel that night. I want to say it was probably, if not that next morning, the day after that. It wasn't that long. I had to meet up with Mother Mirage because I was waiting on a package to come in the mail. This is when I had just started making my manifestation candle. So I was waiting on some supplies to come in the mail. Once I got that shipment of supplies, we hit the road back to Dallas, right? So I spend the weekend in Dallas. Me and the kids, my sister and whatever, we have a good time. But after, once the whole weekend was coming to an end, I just asked my oldest son, I'm like, now, do y'all want to go back to Houston or do y'all want to stay back out here? Because we were in Arlington at the time. And I stayed at the best friend's house, the one I was on the phone with the whole time all this shit was going on. And my son was like, no, I don't want to stay in Houston. I don't even like Houston. I was like, okay, well, you ain't said but a word. We're not going back to Houston then. It's done. Period. And my homegirl, who lived in Arlington at the time, she was okay with me staying with her temporarily. But I had to find a place again. Okay? So I ended up finding a place. And this all is going on in the month of July. So it's summer, right? School is about to start. This is the worst time to be looking for an apartment in the DFW. Okay? But I ended up finding an apartment. It was another 1-bedroom, but it was at a decent price range. Came with a washer and dryer, and I was only honestly gonna do that apartment for 6 months, and then I was gonna find something else because I could not find anything. It was hard to find anything, right? Had to go through getting all his school records and all of that transferred back. And I want to say, I can't remember what day I got approved for that apartment, but I can't remember what my move-in day was. I know it was coming up soon, right? It was going to be before school started. But when I was at my homegirl's house, guess who I got a call from? It's Mother Mirage. Now she calling me, telling me, and I put the phone on speaker because we sitting on the couch watching TV, and my homegirl was like, she saw who was calling and she like, what she want? So I put the phone on speaker, and of course Mother Mirage is saying that, oh, I need a place to stay because Benda is kicking me out and I don't have anywhere to go. And I'm like, well, what you want me to do? Because I literally just got approved for an apartment and it's not big enough for all of us. Like, I don't have enough space. She was like, well, I gotta get out of here by a certain time and all this. And I put the phone on mute and I was just looking at best friend, and best friend is looking at me like, Toya, because Toya is my real name. Latoya is my government name. But she was like, Toya, I understand that's your mama, but you would be dumb as hell if you. But anyways, I don't even think I gave her a definite answer at that time. I just told her I'd get back with her. I don't know. I can't remember what was said. But I end up later finding out from my sister that she too was going through a hard time. She was staying in a hotel because her and her boyfriend had been getting into it. And she had just found out that she was pregnant. Right? So at that point, I was like, well, it makes no sense for, everybody to be separated. If we can just all come together and agree to split the bills on a place and get a place that's big enough for all of us, then everybody should be fine. Why the hell did I suggest that? Why the hell did I suggest that? Why? And I'm going to tell you why I suggested it, because honestly, at the time, it was the logical thing to do. Honestly. But knowing who Mother Mirage is, she ain't going to do right. But long story short, I end up back on the search for something else, another place to stay. Although I had already been approved for this apartment, right? But I just hadn't moved in yet. It hadn't came to my move-in date yet. So now I'm searching for a 3-bedroom because it's me, my 2 kids, my sister, and my mother. It was a little easier to find 3 bedrooms, but the 3-bedroom that came up available, nobody can go look at it but me, because Mother Mirage was still in Houston at the time, and my sister was working throughout the day. So she couldn't go look at it. And we needed something quick, right? So I go and I look at this 3-bedroom apartment. I had to video call them, or I did like a little video. And I sent it to them, asked them what they think. Everybody agreed on the apartment. They liked it. I signed the lease with just my name on it, right? And the lease, the landlord told me if you wanted to add somebody else on the lease, all they had to do was come down and, have their name added. They didn't have to do anything other than the background check and all that, but they didn't have to pay any fee to get added to the lease. So I'm like, cool. So the plan was for everybody to have their name on the lease. Nobody signed that lease but me. And I got approved. Okay, but nobody's name was on the lease but mine for the entire duration of me having that apartment. And I want to say they only stayed there the first year, but I stayed in that apartment for maybe, it was probably like 3-4 years, almost 4 years at least, I know. Now, I'm not going to dwell on all the bull crap I had to endure while they were in that apartment the first year. And honestly, the only problem was Mother Mirage. I will just say that much. But I will fast forward to the part where motherfuckers really was trying me, okay? Now, I told y'all when I was in Houston and I took the trip to Vegas, my other aunt, the youngest aunt, Twasha, who kept Omari, right? Clearly, it became very clear to me that some things I said to her got back to Benda, and my words got misconstrued. But needless to say, I'm not fucking with Benda or Creepsy at this point. And I was loosely speaking to Twasha for that reason, because some shit came back up that I said to you in confidence, and you went and misconstrued what I said to somebody else that wasn't a part of the conversation. But anyways, Twasha hits me up. This is like months later, right? And she's telling me how she was talking to an old childhood friend of ours. We're just gonna call her Phony, because that's what she is. She's phony. But anyways, I barely remember who she was, but I knew once I spoke to her. But she was like, she want to talk to you about the candles. She making candles too. She's trying to start making candles. So I'm like, At first I was just like kind of irritated because I'm like, I feel like talking to this girl. Like, I don't know. And I really don't mind sharing what I know as far as like a business or anything that I'm good at doing or I know how to do. If you want to ask me anything, typically I'm open. I'm not a gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just noticed how I got irritated when she told me that. This is like something in my spirit was like, I don't care to talk to this girl right now, but she insisted. So we're on the phone, me, her, and Phony, and we're talking about the spiritual stuff, right? So I ended up exchanging numbers with Phony, and we, talk further. Now, somehow later on down the line, the conversation came up about the other aunt, Benda, and Creepsy. Now, Phony puts it to me that her, Benda, and Twasher were on a three-way call. And Benda was expressing something about how I don't know what the hell happened after I left, because honestly, when I left Houston, they were out of sight, out of mind. My main focus was getting back stable and settled in so that my kids would be somewhere settled by the time school started. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't worried about what the hell was going on in Houston. But as worded by Phony, Benda got to expressing how I guess some shit started to go bad after I left, and she assumed that I put a hex on her. But she says she had someone to reverse it. Now, first of all, y'all, like I said, these are devout Christians. For you to think that I hexed you due to whatever the hell it was you experienced, first of all, why the hell would I hex my own bloodline? Number one, no, I did not do that. Two, if you so-called had somebody to reverse it, then that makes you no different than me. Y'all, they swear up and down I'm the devil worshiper, right? Because I read tarot. But that makes you no different than me, right? But anyways, the third thing that I caught, that I didn't tell her I caught, was that this motherfucker must really think I'm green to sit here and tell me some stupid shit like this. Because, first of all, Benda and Phony are like complete opposites. Benda is the bona fide Christian. Phony is a witch. And she'll tell you she's a witch. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm a witch as well. It just depends on your intentions. But Phony likes to play with Ouija boards. Like, she's a very dark witch, right? Her and Benda, they don't even hang together. Phony and Twasher are the ones that are close friends, right? So for y'all to be sitting on a three-way call discussing me, you had to been the fucking witch that she reached out to so-called reverse this hex, right? Or this curse or whatever. I picked that up real fucking fast, but I didn't say anything because I'm like, this bitch must really think I'm green. But I told her flat out, I was like, you know what? I don't know what the hell that's all about, but you can go back and tell her that whomever she had to reverse this quote-unquote hex or curse, tell them they weak as fuck. They weak as fuck. And she was like, well, damn. Because I have been getting nothing but blessings the whole time. Like, I ain't been worried about these people. I'm not concerned about what the hell they got going on. Why would I waste my time and energy on y'all? On some little petty ass shit like that. Like, I ain't never had to do no type of hexing, because the way my spirit team is set up, people who do ill shit towards me, they get, my spirit team handle that lightweight. I don't have to do no hexing and cursing. You get what I'm saying? So I told her, you let her know, whoever the hell she had to send that shit back, they weak as fuck. You weak as fuck, basically. Now, to play in my face is one thing, But to really play in my face and think I don't know you playing in my motherfucking face is another thing. And this is the shit that irritates me with a lot of people. And part of what irritates me about being so empathic, you know people's bullshit before they even open their mouth. You can smell it, you can sense it, which is why I got irritated when my aunt said she wanted to talk to me, because I already kind of felt like it was going to be on some backhand shit. The only reason this girl wanted to talk to me is because she had to kind of feel me out. Yeah, you knew of me in my childhood, but you don't know me enough to know if whatever this is they trying to get you to do is actually justified. And you may be tapped in. She may be tapped in. She'll do spell work. I give her that. But you would do, this is a type of witch that will do some spell work for you, take your money and damn near swipe your soul. Like she would destiny swap. But me, I'm tapped in. I don't have to swap destinies with anybody. I ain't even gotta have your money, because I know I'm gonna be blessed for my gifts on the back end no matter what. Which is why I've always got through everything I've ever been through. Whatever adversity I had to face, I got through that shit unscathed. Period. Because I ain't no evil ass motherfucker. But this is the type of person. She don't. First of all, she's not a reader. So she can't really read me and feel if, you know, whatever this is they trying to get her to do is justified. So she tried to feel me out. And this motherfucker end up finding out that I ain't nothing like what they described to her. And instead, actually, she got infatuated with me. She wanted to work with me. That's how good my fucking energy is. But see, I'm not like these other ones. I will sit here and I'll play stupid with your ass just to make you fall in your own trap. And this is where y'all gonna have to learn to stop playing with people, because you don't know what a person's spiritual rank is to know what type of damage you causing to your own self. And you're doing your own bloodline a disservice coming for a motherfucker like me. But anywho, you know, it is what it is. Needless to say, I've been in no contact with those birds for at least 2 years now. So, and I strongly suggest if any of you all are dealing with anything similar or remotely close or worse, because a lot of people are dealing with a whole lot worse. If you're dealing with anything similar to what my story is, I strongly suggest that you get as far away from those people as you possibly can. Because one thing they're going to do is they're going to continue to drain you. They know no end. They're like parasites. Seriously. They're literally just walking demons on earth. That's what a narcissist really is. It's a demon. So get the heck away from those people if you possibly can, and the sooner the better, honestly. But I ain't gonna hold y'all for too much longer, because honestly I've held this episode way longer than what I expected. But hey, it is what it is, and I just gave y'all surface level stuff. So if y'all really want to know the real, then you definitely need to stay tuned for the book, because there's going to be a whole lot more in that book. So keep an eye out for that. But we have reached the segment of the episode where I pull a tarot card for the collective. So if any of this resonated with you, this tarot card may be a message for you. So the card that I actually got for today was the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is a card of endings, painful truths, and the release of what has been draining and betraying you. It's that moment when you've hit emotional or energetic rock bottom, but there's no lower way to go. The only direction left is up. So this represents the emotional death you go through when dealing with narcs. How it kills parts of your self-worth, your trust, and your energy. Okay? The energetic bleeding out that happens to empaths when they absorb everyone else's pain, especially from the very people who should have protected them. The awakening that comes when you realize you can no longer be the emotional container for other people's dysfunction. Okay? And the main thing I really want y'all to pay attention to, and the thing I love the most about this card, is this butterfly here. You see the butterfly in the top corner there? That butterfly symbolizes you reclaiming your power and becoming whole again. No longer being defined by the trauma, but more so by the strength and the wisdom that it gave you. You know, after everything empaths have to go through, the betrayal, the manipulation, the gaslighting, it's all in divine timing. Karma's in motion. We didn't endure all of that for nothing. And me speaking on my issues today seals my healing. That Ten of Swords, what did I do with it? That card, this was Spirit's way of saying that that is the end of that chapter. Okay? And on the other side of that ending is a new beginning. My peace, my glow up, my table that's already set. So yeah, prepare to watch me eat. Because when Spirit serves justice, it's always in season. And let's just say it's about to get real spooky around here. Ooh.
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.